I did it again. I did it again. What I mean by I did it again is the fact that I ended up starting off this fucking little series watching a movie I did not like. I was very, very optimistic about starting this series off right. Wanting to be positive, proactive, productive, enthusiastic, having the high spirits up. But that cannot fucking happen whatsoever. Why? Because I seem to find myself, for some reason, somehow, I find myself subduing myself to watching movies that just look like shit. I thought the fucking Crack Your Nuts film or whatever the fuck it was I reviewed last time was something. But no. The fucking, the goddamn, 4 realms, 5 worlds, nutcracker, nutsack bullshit, whatever the fucking hell movie that was I talked about that one time. Well, the one girl goes to those different parallel universes where one's like fucking cotton candy, fucking sugar tooth, or sweets, or whatever the fuck it is to try and save a world or whatever. Now I'm in a world where one area is fucking London in a goddamn steampunk world. And all of a sudden she's in fucking sci-fi futuristic interdimension. And the next minute she's in a goddamn igloo. Chronicles of Narnia called up. Apparently they want their fucking polar bear back. They want their goddamn gimmick back. They want their fucking story, cast, presentation, and their fucking polar bears and wolves and foxes and whatever animals that were showcased. They want them all back. The Golden Compass. The Golden Dildo. So, to my understanding, there was a series of books. The series of books was known as His Dark Materials, but in the U.S. it was known as The Golden Compass. There was also another one. There was a sequel to that book called The Subtile Knife, and then there was a third one called The Amber Spyglass. I understand this was a trilogy of books. Fantasy, action, adventure, all that stuff. You got your fucking talking animals, you got your dragons, you got your kings, queens, you got your fucking vaudeville, 1920s, 30s, whatever it is. That old school world of London, Renaissance, all that stuff. But I'm not going to fucking complain too much, even though most of it's going to be me fucking getting upset. But there's a few things that I won't really complain about. In the early portions, I did like the steampunk presentation. I did like the story itself in terms of the presentation of what was written. The idea was there of turning the books into a movie. I mean, this came out, what was it, 2007? So the idea was there. But the execution fell flat. For it to be none other than a goddamn Chronicles of Narnia ripoff with a fucking polar bear. The Coca-Cola bear, or the fucking sugar bear, or the ice bear, or the fucking bounty, or the goddamn shaman fucking toilet paper bear, or whatever the hell his name is. The bear in the big blue house. Good God almighty. But yeah, the goddamn Coca-Cola icy slurpy polar bear in this film. He was in a bad fucking mood. He was held in a cage, but he was set free. Became friends with the goddamn little girl, Lyra Valkyra, whatever her name is. Lyra Belqua. That was her name. She was played by Dakota Blue Richards. You had a nice little selection of actors and actresses. They had a solid cast lineup. Nicole Kidman, who looked hot in the film. You had Daniel Craig, you had Sam Elliott, you had Eva Green, you had Ian McKellen. You had names in this film. You had yourself a selection. I'm not going to complain about the choices in terms of who was selected for this film. There's really nothing me to bitch about with that. Because, I mean, a lot of the names I have nothing against. But for the portrayal in this film, the only character I liked was the fucking Sugar Bear! So, what is this story? So, Lyra Valkyria Belqua, she's in this world of what's real and what's fantasy. The parallel universe is the reality where humans are captivated by human souls. Oh joy. But the real story is that while they're over in England, because Lyra Valkyria is a fucking orphan and she's living in a college under supervision of who the dean is. But while she's roaming around, minding her own business, and she's good friends with her little buddy Roger, all of a sudden he ends up disappearing along with many other children known as the Gobblers, who end up taking these fucking kids to their little world. So she is on an adventure where she befriends this fucking polar bear to save Roger and her world and her society. And pretty soon, hopefully, fucking poor Lyra gets a goddamn paycheck for all her troubles. So the story itself, from how I explain it, is one thing. But when I was reading it, I was thinking, you know what? I like the idea, but how am I going to even bother explaining or understanding this? So I watched the movie. Not only was this film so retardedly long, but it was a goddamn mess. Because they didn't know what it wanted to do. I understand it was probably trying to captivate all three of the books into one film. Okay, that can be done. Depends. A series of unfortunate events was trying to do that as well with the first book, the first two books, I believe, for that Nickelodeon film. But in this one, well, it didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know where it wanted to go. It didn't know what it wanted to do. It didn't know if it wanted to be in the fucking Steampunk Valley, which is something that I have nothing against because I'm someone who's a sucker for that whole steampunk realm. I like that stuff. Or didn't know if I wanted to go into a futuristic realm where fucking there's goddamn inbreeding going on with animals where one's a fucking mishap cat or mishap dog or fucking fox, wolf, parakeet, and all goddamn crossbreed, cross-gender, fucking whatever dude-eye animals that goddamn Nicole Kidman was having in a fucking home there that was running around. So you had all these animals running around, then you had the fucking polar bear who was held captive. But at least the polar bear had a fucking story. The motherfucker talked. He was explaining how he ended up becoming a sponsor for Coca-Cola. Never mind Santa Claus, the polar bear is the fucking mascot for Coca-Cola and Icy Slurpees! The polar bear had a story, you understood him. I got that. And I liked the polar bear. I liked the connection he had with Lyra. But as for everything else that was going on in this movie, the visual effects, the video editing, the CGI, you're telling me that this movie won Best Visual Effects. Why? Why? Like, what is it that I'm missing that was seen that I'm not seeing? That's what ruined this film besides the fucking goddamn story itself being a complete clusterfuck is the fact that this was overtaken by poor visual effects, overdone CGI, and terrible video editing! I was falling asleep a little bit at times when watching this film because it was so goddamn long. I mean, I understand you gotta fucking talk to people in order to progress and understand and read their body language. I get that, but at least make it interesting. I wasn't interested. Sure, looking at Nicole Kidman's fine-looking ass in this film was one thing. Daniel Craig looked really handsome. But the characters didn't interest me. Hell, Dakota Blue Cheese Richards, her fucking character didn't interest me. Fucking Lyra Valkyria. I was more interested when she won the NXT Women's Championship belt. And I just fought it. I mean, I don't know what else is... I really don't know what to fucking explain about this film, besides the fact that this was just a ripoff of fucking Chronicles of Narnia. The film was a mess with its story. There was a lot of potential right there for it to be something interesting. Taking the books and turning it into its own film of trying to make the stories all connected into one. I understand that. But it was too much of a mess, going from one universe to another, having all sorts of fucking ridiculous-ass CGI animals that was so goddamn obvious, even with the background itself being ridiculously obvious. A likable character, which was the fucking Coca-Cola bear, and I am a Sprite fan, thank you very much. The fucking bear being the best character. I mean, I get the connection with Lyra and Roger, that could have been something, but I was just very disoriented and not interested whatsoever. This movie was just a mess. A complete mess. And this was one of my first time watching, and as soon as I saw this was going to have the particular look-alike of that steampunk type of vibe thrown into it. It raised my hopes up. Because I like steampunk. But it didn't work for me. So for this being my first time watch, and the fact that I did not like this movie whatsoever, besides a couple little things, I'm going to have to give this movie a 1 out of 5. Very little things I liked. Very, very little fucking things. I need a fucking aspirin, Tylenol, going to bed, taking a shit maybe. I gotta do something to calm myself from this fucking movie, man. So folks, that's the first review of the new romantic Christmas for you all. Next review will be a little bit more cheerful for this little series. Or maybe I'll just be a little bit more grouchier, or maybe we're going to go back to Halloween and blend that with Christmas together. Stay tuned for that.